Getting an even later start on NaNoWriMo tonight, so let's see what we can do. I'm not positive what I'm going to be writing. I know I got one character in a hospital, and I kind of need that to escalate a little bit. I got 3 other characters outside, and need that to escalate a little bit. So, not sure how I'm going to go about that, but we'll find out soon enough, I suppose. Um, all right, so here we are. Rise Again, a sci-fi novel by Jay Wilburn. We're at 32,633. Our goal today is 35,000. So nearly the full 2,500 to complete today. So we scroll on down to chapter 16. We were just with the group, and now we need to deal with Patrick. We're going to have to switch to the red and blues with this one. One of the 3 men holding me down said, since the first nurse who scolded me about throwing the remote, they had all gone to calling me Patrick. They usually did it in a soothing voice, like calming a child or a wild animal. That angered me all the more. All right. I got one hand loose and punched the bigger of the 3 in the side of his throat. He made a clicking, gagging noise and backed away from my hospital bed. I didn't have enough leverage to get off a good kick on the other one, on the one pawing my legs, but I managed to shove him into the wall. That was my window, and I missed it because I got my ankles tangled in the cloth restraints. all three were back on me, and two guards from the hall joined in. One of them grabbed my groin underneath my gown and squeezed. That took a good bit of fight out of me. He pulled his IV again. Calm down, Patrick. Stop fighting. Patrick, no one is here to hurt you. Patrick. I growled from between my gritted teeth. Tell that bastard with the mustache who's squeezing my testicles that you're not here to hurt me. Eyes turned on him. No quotation mark. Eyes turned on him, and he backed up a step, holding his blue gloved hands in the air. The relief was followed by an ache that traveled deep up my middle. Wait in the hall. Henry. The guard spit out some quiet protest, but stepped into the hall as a nurse entered with another shot. I stopped fighting because my bicep still hurt from where I'd twisted during the last shot with the needle still in. I didn't bother to beg, but just closed my fists as she injected that same abused muscle and the men latched on red and blue plastic cuffs on a short chain, sleeved in plastic itself. All the restraints bound to the frame of the bed below, where I could see. The shot took effect fast. I felt it as heat in my chest that had panicked me the first time. Then it traveled out to my extremities in waves. It didn't shut me down. It didn't close off my thinking. But there would be no fighting. Restraints or not. I watched the ceiling spin as another nurse reapplied my IV. They said it was still antibiotics, but I felt like I'd been here for weeks. I need to find my we'll look around for it. The man I'd punched in the throat said, and let you know as soon as we find it. Sound good, Patrick? His voice didn't echo, but his voice didn't echo, but it sounded like something was wrong with the air carrying the words. I was going to tell him the first place he should look with both fists, with both his own fists, at once, but he was the same guy who sent Grabby, well, I need to make that capital, Grabby Henry out into the hall. He did that for me even after I'd hit him with my best shot. Best for the state I was in. So I let him, not quotation. So I let him go without any further disrespect. I turned my eyes on the nurses. I'd learned pretty quickly that they were the ones in charge. They got things done. They said they asked doctors for permission, but I never saw it, and they ran everything between doctors' brief visits. Even when they were there, doctors looked at papers more than they looked at me. Everyone except me wore a mask. Wasn't sure how I felt about that. One of the nurses wrestled a pad underneath my bare ass and throbbing groin. They were planning on leaving me there a while. Punishment for my latest outburst. Punishment for my latest outburst. I had yet again overestimated. Is that a compound word? It is indeed. I yet again overestimated my strength from recovery. If I had something to say, it better be before they shut my door and turned out my light again. Wait Wait. Please. I'm sorry. I'm just scared and alone. They paused. Two of them did. Anyway. If I had magic words, they needed to be spoken now. Ooh, I'm tired. I need to get to 35,000 words to be on track, so we're just going to keep going. They paused. Two of them did anyway. If I had magic words, they need to be spoken now. The people who dropped me off, did you see them? The two ladies still in the room exchanged a look over their masks. Sorry, Patrick. We haven't worked the door in a while. I wasn't positive what that phrase meant. I assumed some sort of intake, but working the door reminded me of security at the front of a hotel or office. I'm not sure who brought me in, but I would like to see or talk to the people I was with before I ended up here. We're sorry, the other nurse said. With the pandemic, you can't have visitors. You have communication devices, I said. I've seen them. One of the people I was with had one too. Rick Helms. You can call Rick Helms on his communication device, and he can tell me what happened to Evelyn and Trey. Is he talking about a phone? think he's being smart with this. It sounded like they were insulting me or were acting like I was insulting them, but nothing they had said sounded negative. Unless being smart was a bad thing, but I couldn't imagine how. We'd seen strange worlds, though. Am I allowed to communicate, or have I lost that privilege? Alright, let's spell privilege correctly. Alright. If I lost that privilege, I'll check your chart as soon as I can. Lights out, door closed, all alone, and there no fighting. Yeah, let's just keep it 2 words. There no fighting, drugs pulsed through my system. Checking my chart. Not sure what that meant for me. Could be to get information on the people I wanted to contact, or could mean they were checking to see if I was allowed to communicate with the outside world. This was what we were always trying to avoid. Being locked down in a world that wasn't ours. Okay, being locked down in a world that wasn't ours. This was what we always we were always trying to avoid, being locked down in a world that wasn't ours, with rules we didn't know, and held until someone else decided we could go. I tried to stay awake until I got an answer, but it was a losing battle. if people were around, I could focus on them. In the darkness, with nothing going on, sleep was inevitable. Oh, you're welcome, man. I appreciate you dropping by too. All right. In the darkness, with nothing going on, sleep was inevitable. The door opened and light from... Mine's going pretty well. I'm up to 33.6 right now. I'm trying to get to 35,000. I want to hit 50,000 by the 20th, so that's about 2,500 words a day. And I've been doing that consistently as we've gone along. In terms of how good the story is, I don't know. I'm kind of in the middle section where it may be going fine, it may not. I have an idea of where I want to go, but I just trying not to get bogged down in the story, but kind of going through some necessary action to ramp things up. So we'll see how it goes. Thank you for asking, though. The door opened and light from the hall spilled in. I didn't know if I had been asleep, but I didn't want them to think all right. I didn't know if I had been asleep, but I didn't want them to think. Alright. But I didn't want them to think I was even close and tempt them to close the door again, leaving me to be no problem for the rest of the night. I'm awake. I'm awake. I want to talk to my friends. Patrick? I turned my head toward the door, which took more effort and coordination than it should have. It was another female nurse. I didn't recognize her, but I was starting to believe this place, wherever it was, however big it was, had an endless supply of new faces. Yes, I just want to call them. Alright, that would be a period. Okay. Alright, moving right along. Patrick, I was here the night you were brought in with sepsis from your leg. It is almost healed, and we simply need to get you to a point where you can continue treatment at home or at the homes of family members with oral antibiotics. Are you letting me go? You'll be let go when you are well, she said. All right. Let go to where? I imagine we'll call your nephew to come get you, and if you won't run away from him again, he can help take care of you along with the others. You saw them? I asked. My friends? I did. They were worried about you and wanted you to get well. They said you were bad about sticking with your meds, Patrick. That must have been Evelyn. I tried my best, but was always on the move. It was your nephew Rick who said it. My eyes popped open. My eyes popped open. I didn't realize they had closed. All right. Rick Helms. I think that's right. Can't remember how I spelled my own characters' names. All right, Rick Helms. That's right. She pulled a cardboard rectangle from her pocket referenced it. I want to talk to them, even if it's just by communicator. She took out a device like Rick's, but hers had a white shell with pink flowers on it. She ran her thumbs over the touch screen the way Rick did, the way Rick had. She held it to her ear, and I heard the ringing. A male voice came on and started talking immediately. I leaned as far as my new restraints would allow and yelled, "Rick, you better get me out of here. You better not have done anything to get Adeline in trouble. You hear me, Rick Helms?" She put a finger in the ear that wasn't against the device, and then she stepped away to the doorway with her back to me. I heard something beep, and she said, "This is Amanda Bennett." I don't know if that's the name I'm going to go with, but we'll see. Should Bennett have two T's? I don't know. Let's try it. Looks good. Alright. This is Amanda Bennett. I'm the nurse at Mercy. I'm with your uncle Patrick Overhill. He very much wants to speak to you. I may not be on shift still when you get this. I can relay message back tomorrow, though. Feel free to call or text when you can. She put her communicator away. Why wouldn't you let me talk to him? What are you hiding from me? I asked. Even in the days of the no fighting drugs, I saw her look of pity. She thought I was mad. Maybe I was, but how can a man stay captive and not lose sanity to a degree? He wasn't there, Patrick. I heard his voice. That was his voicemail. I thought. I didn't see any servants in Rick's employ. He seemed neither wealthy nor high-born enough to have them. Amanda did not behave as if she were lying, but I wasn't clear-headed, and she might be practiced at lying to people like me. I want to talk to Evelyn, I said. Was that the woman who came with the group to drop you off? I described her as best I could, and Amanda said that sounded like her. I'm not going to calm down and and behave until I know they are well, I said in a much thinner and weaker voice than I wanted behind those words. Amanda smiled down at me. It wasn't malicious. It wasn't malicious or teasing. There was pity in it, but I believe I saw heartfelt sympathy as well. That could be good or bad, depending on what they intended to do with me. They said you would wake up and be upset and untrusting. She was going to use another word. But changed. You mean paranoid? Alright. Make sure I'm still rolling here. Yep. Alright. She was going to use another word, but changed. Do you mean paranoid? Amanda faltered a bit. I liked not being the one on the defensive. Amanda faltered a bit. I liked not being the one on the defensive. Of course, I was still on my back in restraints without pants. Restraints without pants, with a piss pad under my ass like I was some invalid or an animal. So how much advantage could I really fool myself into thinking I had? All right. Moving right along. All right. So how much advantage could I really fool myself into thinking I had? Then she caught me off guard, and it wasn't the worst thing. They said they had made you a promise. They promised that they would never leave you or betray you. They would stay and wait, and they'll be here to get you when you are well enough to go home. They wanted you to know that, so you wouldn't feel afraid or alone. They care about you, Patrick. I could tell by how pained Evelyn was about leaving you in our care. She knew you would die without treatment, and it was close. She wanted to come in with you, even with the pandemic, but of course she couldn't. You're not being held captive. I pulled up my wrist as far as the blue cuff would allow, and I tapped it against the metal railing on that side of my bed to make my point. She smirked at me and said, "You know what that is about, Patrick." You get upset and violent when you are scared. You can be scary people at times. Amanda nodded as if this were both an obvious and ordinary fact. These are scary times, and we're all doing our best, Patrick. You'll be well again soon, and you'll be back with your family. I felt a shiver chest. Family. I guess they had to pretend to be in order to get me treatment. I felt a shiver in my chest. Family. I guess they had to pretend to be in order to get me treatment. Rick Helms. Pretending to be my nephew, it seemed. What else does Patrick need to say in this scene? Okay. But were any of us family? Did we need to be in order? Okay, this needs to be a question mark. Did we need to be in order to survive this? I don't know, I said. This was something. This was something Trey said all the time. Far too much. This was something Trey said all the time. Far too much. It angered me when I wanted real answers. It scared me too, because it meant the guy with the tools to travel was lost. He was our only guide between worlds, and he had no idea what was going on. I hated that. Now, cuffed to this bed, I sort of felt like I was seeing our situation through his eyes, maybe even inside his skin. And I felt powerless. Amanda acted, let's call her Nurse Amanda. Nurse Amanda acted as if that were the end of it, and took hold of the door. She was about to close out the light again. My friends, I said, if they call back, when they call back, I'll come tell you. Don't leave me sleeping. Don't leave me sleeping, I said. She paused. I won't. She paused over me with the door still open. Light around her head made her into a deep shadow. I could not read. What? Is Patrick Overhill your real name? The one I was born with. I watched the dark ceiling spin faster and faster. Okay, getting close to the end of this chapter. The one I was born with, I watched the dark ceiling spin faster and faster. We're having trouble pulling up your records, Patrick. Can you tell us a social security number, a date of birth, or other information? Your records could help us treat you. Like I said to the others, Amanda, I simply don't remember. Okay, that's fine. Get some sleep. If they call, you wake me up. If I'm still on shift, I will. She closed the door before I could say anything else. I waited a moment and fought the weight of my eyelids. When I was sure no more visitors cared to look in on me, I relaxed my fists, unbent my wrists, and started wriggling my hands through the slack I had created in the cuffs. Through the slack I'd created in the cuffs by binding up my hands while they were being applied. Fortunately for me, they had been sufficiently distracted to not notice what I'd been doing, or they were poorly trained. The feet would be harder to free because I can't make a fist with my foot. But first thing was to get my hands free. I'd worry about the next step after that. Alright, so we've reached our goal and the end of a chapter, so let me get down here. So the next chapter is chapter 17. Alright. Chapter 17. And that's where we will pick up tomorrow. Alright, so now we're at 35,041. So that's what I'm going to put in to my NaNoWriMo. So let's jump over to the website. I was at 32,633. Now I am at 3541. So 35,041. 35,041. 41. Alright, I'm very happy with that. Cruising right along. Story is moving the direction I need it to go. Oh, I got my 14-day streak going, so that's good. If I finish on day 20, I'll not get my 21-day streak, so I guess I just got to make up some words to write on the 21st day to maintain that streak. So doing well there. Let's take a look at some of my buddies. Alright, Jessica McHugh is cruising right along. She is at 6,000 words on her second novella, so she's already knocked out the 25,000 on the first one and went a few thousand over that, and now she's cruising along in the second one. So her total is going to be well beyond 50,000 words, and she's going to get there way before the end of the month. When she sets her mind to something, she gets right to work. Alright, Armand Rosamilia is very close to where I am. I think we're following about the same pace. On The Devil's School, he's at 34,520. And so we're right within 1,000 words of one another, less than 1,000 words apart. So we're both cruising to about a 20th or 21st finish for our NaNoWriMo 50,000 word goals. Alright, let's see who else has something to show. John Quick is doing great. He's well ahead of both of us at 38,257 on the novel Homecoming. He always does a spectacular job of going along with his word counts in NaNoWriMo and out of it. Alright. Oh, Chuck Buddha's moving along. Proud to see him here in Corral of Blood. He is at 10,838 words, so he's jumped up another 2,000. Again, he's written in bursts a few times, and he's had days in between where he's working, has other things going on. But he has not given up, and he's done some good writing. Armand Rosamelia, who we looked at earlier, and Chuck Buda here, they do the Mondo Method podcast, and on Sunday, the 25th, I believe it is, they're going to do a live event for the halfway mark, so people who listen to that podcast can listen to them live. I believe they're going to have some guests on. I don't know who the guests are, but I'm excited to jump in on that and see what they have to say. They're very encouraging guys and have good insights into writing, so I'm proud to see that Chuck is moving along on Corral of Blood, which is the next book in his Son of Earp series, which is a great supernatural western, one of my favorite western genre of things of any type. J.C. Walsh is at 9,181 words, so he's moving along at the pace that he can fit in with his work schedule, and good to see that he's getting words down on paper. It may take him more than November, but there's nothing wrong with that. Alright, so after J.C. Walsh, Alex from Iowa, he is tearing it up as well. Alex from Iowa is at 24,883. Tomorrow, if he hits 25,000, he's at the halfway mark, and so he's pretty much ahead of that pace by enough. So if he keeps up this pace, he'll definitely be done by the 30th. So doing a great job there. All right, let's see who else may be having something to show. All right, let's see Tim Meyer. He is a juggernaut with NaNoWriMo. He has done 44,288. So he's just within striking distance of the goal itself. He's had a 14-day streak, so he's updated every single day. I'm very proud to see the work that he is doing. All right, so let's take a look. A couple more. That was Tim. Wow, okay. Stephen Kozanowski. Look at this, 40,959 words. So again, he's less than 10,000 away. Has a 14-day streak, so he's updated every single day. And he's about to just blow right past that goal. I have a feeling that novel may be more than 50,000 words at the pace that they seem to be writing. So very good job there. All right. I think we can catch one or two more. I don't know if he's updated or not, so I'm going to leave him alone. Let's see how he's doing. Yeah, I think he's tearing it up there too. So let's... Todd Kiesling is at 30,111 words, so well past the 30-day pace. Not far off of a 20-day pace, so he's doing pretty well there. Excellent job by everybody. And we'll jump back over to my story here. Again, I am at just over the 35,000 word mark, which is where I needed to be today to keep up with that 2,500 word a day pace for the 50,000 words in 20 days. I do want to finish early because I do need a break, so I'm going to take a break leading into Thanksgiving. My mom is coming up, and she's older, of course, because I'm an old man myself, and I'm a kidney transplant patient, so both of us have been very, very careful during the pandemic, and she's not been able to come up and see the kids like she does during the year. She usually comes up for their birthdays, usually comes over for Easter, and then of course spends Thanksgiving and Christmas with us. And those are usually two different trips, but this year it appears that she's going to be able to stay with us nearly a month, and that'll cut down on 2 trips back and forth. It'll be safer. She's been keeping herself distance from everybody, and so have we. So cutting out 2 trips will just make it safer for everybody. It's going to be kind of cool to have everybody in. So I wanted to take a break from the 20th on. I'll still probably be doing promotion stuff, and I'll still be doing Twitch stuff. But in terms of my pace of daily writing and stuff, I'm going to back off of that. There's always something that comes up, but my plan is, like all the novels and things that I'm writing, I'm going to set those aside until the beginning of December, Then going into December, I'd like to stop around the 19th or 20th again for the same reason, just to give myself a break and then jump back into it in a couple days into January. I think I need those breaks because I'm not cruising along the way I used to, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's just that I can tell I'm tired. I try to take plan in breaks during the month and give myself at least a couple long weekends where I'm not really doing any writing, none that's required of me. Sometimes I'll get ahead on those weekends, but what I'm finding is, and of course I got a lot of freelance work too, is that I'm burning out quicker during the day, where I'll get to a point where I'm just tired. I'm gonna need to set aside the rest of this tomorrow. So I'm getting stuff done, just not quite at the pace or the volume that I've been able to in the past, and I can tell I'm a little tired. So just definitely making sure that I work in those breaks. So part of the nano pace that I'm doing is to be done by the 20th and not have to keep going till the 30th. And I think it's healthy for authors to plan those in. I know a lot of authors can't handle that. Like if they take, as many as 3, 4, 5 days off, much less 10 from writing, that they'll kind of feel cold and not be able to jump right back into it. I don't really have that problem. I think a lot of burnout for authors sometimes is because they won't give themselves any grace. They won't allow themselves to say, okay, I need some time off. It's always like they get burned out, then they end up not writing, then they end up feeling guilty the entire time they're not writing, instead of being refreshed and revived. And so I try to plan that in. So instead of burning out, I try to make sure that I give myself breaks on a regular basis. Not always as long as the ones I'm taking around these holidays, but usually a couple weekends a month at the very least, to try to just give myself that moment to recharge, to where my pace doesn't always have to be relentless day to day. And then within that, in those days that I am working, I feel like I get a lot done, and so it's still a productive pattern that works for me. So all that to say that I'm on pace to finish by the 20th. So thank you everybody for joining in, and I look forward to talking to you again soon.